Welcome to Chai and Chat on the Sis Podcast, where we discuss what it's like being women in Western society. Pour yourself a cup of chai and tune in to the conversations. Hey y'all, assalamu alaikum. This is Sister Hoff. Today I'm here with my sister.
Hello.
Her name is Lauren.
Yes, my name is Lauren.
She is a mom.
I am.
Yay, with my two cute little nephews, also nieces, whatever they are.
Something like that.
They're two cute somethings. And which brings us to the topic of discussion today, which is motherhood. Because it's Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. If you have a child of any kind, even if they're not your child and you consider yourself a mom to them. I am not a mom unless you count my cat. I guess I'm a cat mom. Mm-hmm. And I'm an aunt. And I'm an auntie, so I'm somebody's mother when I need to step in sometimes. It's kind of what aunties tend to do. They're like part-time moms. Nannies too. We have a sister-in-law who's a nanny, and she is paid to be a mom, so she has lots of experience with a variety of children. So anyway, we wanted to talk about, I think you took notes, didn't you? You have notes? About a couple of different things that are addressing, because like we grew up with a crunchy mom, and 90s crunchy mom is something else. I mean, now you can see crunchy moms because they're on social media.
Right. It's easy. If you want to be a crunchy mom, just get on the social medias.
I'm a crunchy auntie.
You are.
I am, but I'm not an auntie. I'm not an anti-vaxxer auntie, but that's another story. I don't get into those conversations right now. So, what kind of mom are you, Lauren?
I am definitely not a crunchy mom. I am.
Are you silky or scrunchy?
I'm probably more silky.
She's super, super laid back.
Am I?
I'm not super duper, but you're pretty laid back.
And I do not get upset about my kids having screen time like some people.
Or Red 40?
We do try to limit the Red 40 a little bit.
Because it's a bit.
The younger one has trouble with sugar.
That's sugar! I love sugar.
It's delicious.
Our mom, because she was a crunchy mom, if you don't really understand the whole crunchy mom, silky mom, scrunchy mom concept, crunchy moms, they're a little more like we would think like hippie and everything very, I'm not going to say necessarily more all natural, but they prefer more of like, we're going to make everything from scratch. Our children are not going to eat processed sugar. We did not eat processed sugar as kids. So we would spend summers with our cousins who in fact did not have a crunchy mom. I think our aunt was definitely, Carla she was silky mom.
By a long shot, yeah.
All the way. I mean, the parenting is a whole different part. This is just like their personality and like a lot of things. Like they had Lucky Charms and Fruit Loops, and we're like, what?
Like all this magic syrup.
It's magic.
And real syrup.
Real syrup.
Because we couldn't have real syrup, or whatever.
I don't know.
Store-bought syrup. We had to have, what was it? Mom, at one point we had cornstarch, which now we know
there was corn syrup.
Corn syrup. That's
so. Dad would put corn syrup on our ice cream sundaes because we couldn't buy store-bought ice cream chocolate syrup. Mm-hmm. But we put corn syrup because it's the 90s and we thought that was great. Now we realize that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, probably not.
Mom she would put a little bit of wheat germ.
I remember the wheat germ.
That'd be the equivalent of putting like, let me put a little flaxseed on that for you today. Yes. That's me. I do put flaxseed on a lot of things. I use it as a replacer. So, but being a crunchy mom in the 90s was different than being a crunchy mom in the 2020s. And being just a mom in general is different. Mm-hmm. Very different.
I think too, like growing up, we had a unique set of like circumstances that led to her being such crunchy the way she was.
She didn't grow up crunchy at all.
Yeah. And like, there was a religious component, and there was a where we lived, and we lived rural.
Like the neighbors had cows and chickens.
30 minutes to the nearest
And
grocery store.
Mom told me the other day, she was telling me, she's like, I still remember when the cow hopped the fence and was just munching on the grass in our front yard, and I had to shoo it over to the neighbors and say, come get your cow.
I do remember when the fence broke and the cows got out in our yard.
Hey, Gail, come get her cows. So, but I mean, hey, we had good neighbors though. They were nice. Except the other neighbors who would go hunting out of season. So they actually finally got arrested. The people who bought the house after us put cameras out on their property and caught them trespassing and got them arrested for hunting not on their property and out of season. Yeah. So, ooh, the law double got it. Anyway, that's not the topic of discussion. So,
but we had a large garden. I would call it a small farm.
It was, yeah, it was,
and it was a lot of work. It was like we'd spend the entire morning.
When you have like 50 tomato plants and you grow corn, rows of corn, and like 5 rows of green beans, and each row is like 10 feet. That's not a vegetable garden. But that's what they called it. So I tell people, my parents had a vegetable garden. Like, oh, we do too. I'm like, no, you guys have 2 tomato plants growing in a pot.
It is a vegetable garden. We had a small farm.
We did. We had enough children to count as animals.
We did. And so, she would be working in the garden, and the kids are just running around the garden.
We're not afraid of ticks, are we?
No.
I run into people all the time. They're like, aren't you afraid of getting a tick if you walk outside barefoot or something? And I'm like, no. We grew up and like, we knew what Lyme disease was. We knew what Rocky Mountain spotted fever was. We knew about bug spray and how to remove a tick. And like, if my cat has a tick, we don't freak out about it. My friends have.
I remember just plucking ticks off the dogs just regularly.
Which,
just like,
tip of the day, this isn't necessarily a crunchy tip. This is just, I guess, redneck tip. Put petroleum jelly on the tick. Completely cover it, because they breathe out of their rear. And so they suffocate and they die. And then they just loosen. Then you can just pluck them off. And the mom would always put them in a jar of rubbing alcohol to make sure like they were killed. So yeah.
Yeah. But she would take all those garden vegetables, and then when it was harvest time, and she would do all that canning.
Canning. She still cans a lot, but not as bad. She like had the pantry in the garage. There was just shelves that Dad built. It was just shelves and shelves. And that was, we didn't go shopping for canned vegetables. We had them ourselves. But that was so much work. And
we would have vegetables for the whole winter and everything.
And she'd be so stressed out too.
Just as a mom now, personally, me, just even thinking about all the canning and remembering what she did, just thinking about it makes me exhausted. I'm like, how did she do that?
I've canned
I'm not
jelly,
a mom, I guess.
Before. I've learned to make pickles. But I don't do what she does with the whole pressure cooker. I just do there's like the hot water bath method. And then she bought me this little electric vacuum one, which isn't the most effective, but if I put it like in the hot water first, and then I use the electric sealer, like, it's good. And I'm not canning it and waiting for next winter when we have scarcity. I'm just canning it so I can give my friends, look, I made jam, or I made pickles. Here you go. Here's a gift. That's about where my crunchy's at.
Yeah.
Right now. I don't intend on living in a rural homestead. It would be nice to grow some herbs.
They were pretty much homesteading.
It was homestead. It was a full homestead. She wanted chickens. Dad wouldn't let her.
Yeah. It was homestead, but one of the parents was gone at work for 12 hours a day.
Yeah, because the commute was like an hour each direction. Yeah. I will say, so one, I guess, advantage of Dad's long commute is if we were in trouble and Mom would be like, wait till your father gets home. She would call him at work, let him know, and then he would have an entire hour in the car to fume about it and decide how he was going to,
or she would page his beeper.
Let him know. Pager, so he would have time to calm down. So the punishment was majority as just the anxiety of waiting for Dad to get home.
Then he would just be like, I'm disappointed in you.
That is so horrifying. I'm so
Okay.
traumatized. I don't know if that's every generation deals with that, but like to have your parent tell you, "I'm disappointed in you," just
Well, you and I are both a bit people pleaser, and
yeah.
that's all it takes to punish a people pleaser. It's like, oh my god, I disappointed them.
I've upset them.
It's the end
Gosh.
of the world.
How is it now though? Like I guess with our experiences, what we went through as kids, now as a parent, like looking obviously you're not a crunchy mom, you don't do things, but as far as like just parenting in that day and age versus parenting in this day and age, because now like if you want to know about something, you can Google it.
Yeah, I would say it's like a double-edged sword because then you can over analyze and over research things,
True.
and so then you're like constantly looking things up, like should my kid be sleeping 12 hours a night or 14 hours, and it's like
How
when you
much
get
screen time is okay for them to have?
and you get down to it and it's not even like worth all the effort and stress, cause yourself more anxiety
Yeah.
than necessary. So I think there is a balance. I like, I think it is wonderful being able to look things up. Like, oh, my kid has a fever, and what do I need to do? Like,
You don't have to page the doctor.
yeah, and it's just like, obviously when you're not in that moment, it's like, well, duh, you just give them Tylenol and move on. But when it's like, you're sleep deprived and it's the middle of the night and your kid is crying at you, I'm miserable, and you feel so bad, and you're just like, it's a lot harder to think in the moment, like these
Yeah.
are the steps to take, like for not just fevers, but everything in general. I feel like so having that information at your fingertips.
Yeah. But we had mentioned something earlier we were going to talk about too with the online stuff. You have the information,
Yeah.
but you have everybody has different opinions. You're going to find a different scientific study that says this, a scientific says that. This mom influencer says that. This mom influencer says this. Some match with your lifestyle, some don't. And there's a lot of we talked about shame.
Oh yeah, shame is I think a big thing, especially in the online culture. Like people see what parents are doing, moms are doing, and it's real easy to take that out of context and be like, wow, they are just doing a terrible job, or wow, the horrible mom. She just yelled at her kid in the grocery store. Wow.
Yeah. They don't understand the full context.
But it's like, yeah, but she's been patient and calm with that kid for the past 7 hours, and she only got 3 hours of sleep last night. There's like underlying things that you don't
that one
think
video
about.
that goes viral. Gosh, my years at the grocery stores, I saw it. The parents that were at their wits' end. And it was always 6 o'clock on a school night. And it's just like, I've seen there have been children dragged out of the store by their heel, by their mom, because they just couldn't, they were over it. And it's like, now then that was the 2010s or something. That stuff wasn't as often online, but it like increased at that point in time. And then people just shame those parents for, and they don't understand the full context of it. Not saying that like you should be dragging your kid out of a store by the heel of their foot,
Right.
But how people handle those situations, and then how they are as a parent. Like suddenly, then someone's they're a terrible person or a bad parent,
and everybody,
because that's what they did in the moment when she was at her wit's end.
Everybody has different like stress thresholds too, and so every mom has a different level that they can handle and different things that they can handle.
Yeah.
Like I can handle screaming and whining a lot more than my husband can, because he has a lot of like auditory sensory things, and so for him that would be like wit's end, but then he could handle some other things that I might have a harder time with.
Yeah.
Like my kid asking me a million questions.
The
question. And I'm like, can you
why?
not?
Why is this? Why is that? And I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know. Let's Google it. I don't have time to Google it right now. I'm driving.
Google's more my parent than you are. I've seen stuff like that online. Somebody they told their kid, go ask Google, and they're like, Google's more of my dad than you are. I was like, oh god.
My son, he just says like, can we look it up? Can we ask Siri?
That's so cute.
But he has a curious mind and wants to know everything about everything.
Takes a lot of patience with children.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. And every kid is so different. So they're like, I have friends, like families. Like I have one family, like one friend. She has 5 kids.
Mm-hmm.
The youngest is almost a year old now. She's probably about a year old now. Her oldest is 21. She has 5 kids, and it's like huge age gaps, and each kid is getting parented
very differently.
Different. Like, and even if us, I don't know, we have like what 4-year age gap, and there's still a big difference on how each of us was parented.
Right.
It's just, and each of us being different people and personalities, and then in some areas we're more alike, and then some areas we're very much disalike. Mm-hmm. But like, by the time I was in high school, Mom was allowing more processed sugar, more red 40.
She also was working.
She worked. At that point. She worked. She went back to work, and she just kind of didn't care. And suddenly we found Dad's secret stash of Pop-Tarts, and she just stopped trying to fight it because Dad loves Pop-Tarts.
I didn't know he had a secret stash.
He loves Pop-Tarts still, and he would have to like keep them hidden from her because she would throw them away. She was that crunchy. She would find his stash and throw them. Whatever. But all the chocolate you can eat, I will give you that. But the Pop-Tarts, processed sugar. But now he buys them, and they're all downstairs in his office. All the different flavors of Pop-Tarts. And our youngest brother eats them with him too.
Yeah, he does.
He gets the most. He got the, like, it's so funny talking to our oldest brother versus our youngest brother. And it's like, there's like an 8-year age gap. 2 complete different, same parents, 2 completely different parenting, upbringing, and style, and discipline. Everything was completely different.
Yeah, and it's like the world was different. Just like the dynamic was different. So you have to evolve parenting.
Yeah.
With things. I can't imagine being a kid now without, like, kids now don't know what life is like without the internet.
Yeah. And not that that's a bad thing, but they just don't, like, we're millennials. Millennials remember life. Like, we're not digital, what they call digital natives. Gen Z is digital natives because they had the technology and internet to the capacity. Internet's been around a long time, but to the capacity.
Yeah, that it was so.
But we were young enough that we were able to evolve and develop and adapt with it. But we're not as like. We remember having a home phone, having to remember everybody's phone numbers. I still remember Mom and Dad's home phone number, and it's like they haven't had a home phone in like, I don't know, 10 years, probably.
Longer than that, for sure.
Time goes by.
It does.
And I got mad when they got rid of the home phone, actually, because they stopped answering their cell phones. Because they were not used to answering their cell phones, so they never keep their phones with them. Because they're a different generation.
Yeah.
So they just don't have their phones. So they are not my emergency contacts for anything. Just so you know, you are, Lauren. So if anything happens, because you're more reliable than you pay attention better too.
And my phone is usually attached to my hip, basically, as much as my children.
You have the watch, the smart watch, right?
I do. I don't wear it all the time as much now, but I do. Yeah.
It's weird because, like, for our parents' generation, it's very much like this is where I guess like the ageist stuff gets in, where they don't understand why people always have their phones and whatnot. I mean, they're glued to their phones just as much though, and I'm like, well, like you were saying, in the middle of the night and your kid's having sickness or whatever and you don't know what to do, you can just whip it up, hey Siri, real quick, just to give you that peace of mind. You don't have time to wait, call a doctor, wait for them to call you back, all that kind of.
You call the on-call line, and
gosh, that's what Dad's pager was for. He'd beep, 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 beep. We knew when he was on call because he'd get pages and he'd go call the parents back and talk to them about, like, because our dad was a pediatrician.
And then sometimes it's like playing phone tag. You know?
Now they have call services and you can do teledoc and all that kind of whatever, which is internet is amazing. It's fascinating
Mm-hmm.
what we have and what we're able to do with it. So I'm not going to say parenting is any easier than now than it was before. Like, but what do you think are like the new challenges?
Well, I would say one thing that I'm just now starting with my oldest, he is about to turn 6, is internet safety.
Yeah, we never had to worry about that.
Yeah.
Well, we did, but we didn't know we had to.
Right. He cannot comprehend. I guess in a way he doesn't understand that people could do malicious things.
Yeah.
He still hasn't reached that. But he's also starting to be introduced to the internet. Like he's got a tablet, and he knows how to turn the Wi-Fi on and off on it. Some of his games require Wi-Fi to even run, but he doesn't understand. I'm like, you can't talk on any like chats, or we don't do any ads. I would say that is a huge challenge. I feel like that parenting would have to be now is internet safety, because it's such ingrained in our lives now.
Yeah, you can't avoid it.
Yeah.
There's so many. It's a tool. I believe it's a tool. There's so many great things about it, but yeah.
My husband would argue too that it's almost like one of those necessity rights that everyone is entitled to. Like
it is
when you get when you're renting and you're required, they're
Wi-Fi
required to
should
give
be
you
included.
Wi-Fi. You have to have water, electricity, and all those things.
Yeah.
He says Wi-Fi should be
one of those rights. It should be considered necessity.
Necessity, that's the word.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember.
It should be. My old neighbor DC, may God rest his soul, he had told me that, and he like refused to have a smartphone as long as possible.
Yeah.
Like he had a flip phone until 2019. I didn't know you could still find them. He's like they couldn't find anymore, but he still used the internet. He was always on his laptop, on his Facebook. But he's like, it's a necessity because that's how you apply for jobs now. There's a lot of places that like, you want to apply for a job, you have to go online.
Right.
So what am I gonna do? Spend the whole day at the library applying for jobs? Because I need to have internet. Libraries got it for free.
I feel like for children too, even if you have
school
restrictions,
you
now
have to
they
consider
have schools.
School issued laptops now for elementary, middle school, high school, because they can get assignments done. Honestly, it's a lot less paper waste if you have the kids put all their assignments. And to be honest, I would rather read typed than trying to learn the handwriting.
Yeah. My handwriting's atrocious. I felt bad for my teacher.
I write cursive. Nobody can read it anymore because nobody knows. Half the millennials forgot it.
See, no, I don't. See, I have my own little quirks about cursive handwriting, but that I don't
think it's necessary to teach at all. It's completely unnecessary. It's pretty.
I am, because of my dyslexia, cursive is a challenge.
Yeah.
Was, and it always was. So that's just where I am with that one.
But our oldest brother can't read it either. He couldn't read. I didn't know that.
I wonder if he's dyslexic.
I don't know. Mom now swears that she's dyslexic because I guess it's cool now to be dyslexic. She's a cool grandma, so everything is cool. We have 2 older nephews that are high school, like graduating high school. They're both like 18, 19. And one of them taught her how to say drip. And so she was,
oh no.
He told her what drip meant. Like it had to do with fashion or something. She's like, I got my drip. And I was like, oh, please stop. Please stop.
I'm not even up to date on the lingo anymore.
Me neither. I don't care. That, hey, yo, that's all I know. I don't know what it means, but the kids be doing it.
Oh.
I don't know. But it's just this weird disconnect of their life and like because our parents are still that mentality of like how they raised us and how things were like back in the 90s, and it's like it's not the 90s. It's been a long time.
I feel like the 90s was a really special time.
It was really special.
At least as far as like living in the United States.
Yeah. Things were, I don't know.
That was when you were having the culture shift to internet culture, I think.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's huge drastic shifts in the 90s. And so
it was not easy for everybody.
I actually really loved 90s fashion too because it felt like you could wear anything. It could be mismatched.
Yeah,
It could be
I
different.
totally dress that way.
And I was like, then I would never have to worry.
You could wear all red and your pants be a different shade of red than your shirt, but who cares?
You could wear
fashion.
You could wear like the plaid shirt with the polka dot.
Yes, you can match anything. Gosh,
I was like, man, 90s
being a
fashion
90s
was
mom
so
with
easy.
being a 90s mom with style, just let your kids dress themselves. It's fine. Now there's the whole society and the pressures of your kids dressing a certain way, and like you go to Target and it's like the family collection of pajamas, and the dog has a matching bandana.
Yeah, see, we don't do matching pajamas and stuff like that.
It's cute, but it's a lot.
It's a little bit cute, but it's a little bit.
Some of it's the pressures. You see it online, you see it in advertisement. I mean, I go to Target and all the little mannequins are set up, and it's like the whole thing, like matching shoes, matching accessories, the whole everything you can get matching.
My children can't seem to figure out what mannequins even are, and I'm horrible at explaining it, I guess. I'm like, they're mannequins. They model the clothes so you know what it looks like, and they just can't get it. My youngest is like, what's that guy doing?
I think it's a person. We kind of
no, it's a mannequin, honey. It's not real. It's a statue.
That's really cute.
Yeah, he's funny. What would you say then? About being an auntie, because it's a little bit different than being a mom. What would you?
Being an auntie in today's culture?
Yeah, what do you think?
I think it's better. It's way easier. We don't have social media, but you send me pictures of your kids, so I know what styles they like. I know what they're into.
About knowing them.
I know what they're into. I know what they don't like. I can FaceTime you and talk to them because we live in different states. I can FaceTime and talk to them and keep up, so when I'm with them in person, I'm not a stranger to them. Because that was the worst thing as a kid. Like, this is my cousin or this is your uncle, and I'm like, they are strangers to us. Because we don't see them on a regular basis, and it's really uncomfortable when mom's like, go give your uncle a hug, and you're like, no. And they don't, and I have a whole thing. I had a whole discussion with mom on why it's not good to force kids to hug somebody who is a stranger to them just because they're not a stranger either. It's a stranger to the kid. You're not teaching them stranger danger. Doesn't matter if they're.
My kids hug anybody, even their grandparents.
If they ask me for space, I give them space. I like that. And our oldest brother tried doing that with his kids. He's like, go give your aunt a hug. I was like, he doesn't have to hug me if he doesn't want to. And guess what? No hugs. Fine by me, fine by them. Which is, and it helps them too to understand, like, there's like a better respect, and that they can like trust me. I want to have that trust and respect with them, you know, at the end of the day, because they're still family, you know. I think, yeah, it's easier to keep up as an auntie. Sometimes I would say, as far as like community wise, some things are different because when I'm an auntie, like within the community, and I mean, this isn't an issue I have to deal with you because there's like such a big age gap between your kids and the older nephews, and our other brother doesn't have any kids yet, you know, God willing, soon. Like the parenting is different. Like how our oldest brother parents is way different.
Very different than me. Which is interesting because we both grew up very similar and we have similar views, but you're both very different in our parenting.
Yeah, very different in the parenting.
Yeah, how do you handle that as an auntie?
As an auntie, you have to have. It's hard because, like, okay, so in the South, like when I lived in Alabama, worked in a hair salon. If you're a hairstylist, you're automatically just an auntie for every child that walks in the door. If they're misbehaving, I would tell them, no ma'am, no sir, you ain't gonna act like that. Shape up, behave, sit still. I had no problem telling children and directing them directly, like very upfront, as if I'm a relative, and they respected that. If they were not a Southerner that came in, it got really awkward and really uncomfortable. When I lived in Savannah, it was totally different because Savannah, Georgia is a melting pot. Like everybody from everywhere, it was so different, and like sometimes you just couldn't say things at all, and you just had to like tolerate children literally abusing you, verbally hitting you, throwing things at you, whatever. And the parents would be like, so much, I'll handle everything, it's fine, we'll handle it, like just do whatever. I'm like, I can't do my job. In a lot of the Muslim communities that I'm with, it's the same thing as the Southern community, where I just walk in and It could be some. I was like walking in the mosque and there were some boys and they were saying some words that were less than respectful about women. And I stopped and I looked at them and I said, "You don't talk like that." They were like 10-year-old, 12-year-olds, and they just stopped because they were surprised. First of all, an adult heard them and paid it because a lot of the adults just do their thing and they don't notice the kids. That I heard them and I told them directly and they were like, "Oh, we're sorry."
Yeah. Wow.
It's just, I feel comfortable in those spaces, but I don't always feel like that everywhere I go. If I go to the grocery store and some kid is throwing stuff at me, I'm like, do I say something or is their parent going to flip out that I reprimanded their child? Because some people have a problem with that.
And you know what's weird though is, on the other hand, what I have experienced, like say in the grocery store and like playgrounds and stuff, because my oldest, he is on the spectrum. He's a little bit,
Yeah.
he sometimes his things are a little bit different and quirky, and interacting with people that parent differently than me, and them trying to parent or correct my children, and like even like grandparents, I had to like teach them like, no, 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 you cannot correct him that way. He doesn't understand.
Yeah.
This is how we handle XYZ. But like going out in public and somebody trying to tell my child what to do, it can be off-putting if it's in a way that we don't teach him at home, and he doesn't understand, and he's like looking at me because he's like, am I supposed to listen to this person I don't even know?
Yeah.
You know, like if a stranger telling him, I had a stranger one time come up and tell my 5-year-old, open the car door for your mom. Boy, go open that door for your mom. Be a gentleman. And he's looking at
That's
me like,
a cultural thing, and you don't get to force your culture on people. Do I like that stuff? Oh, I think it's great.
Mhm.
But I'm not going to force it. I'm a 5-year-old. Come on.
So I think in some instances, parents are within reason to react negatively to people correcting their children.
Yeah. It all depends on like the context and situation.
And that is the tricky part about parenting is you have to be so flexible. You have to come up with things on the fly.
And every
you
child
don't
is
have
different.
an answer right away for every single situation.
You're still learning to be a parent during the whole process.
Yes.
You're never not. Like our parents are learning to be parents to adult children, and it's hard for them because we voice our opinions a lot more strongly
than we did as we were kids. Yeah.
And they just have to, I mean, you don't have to agree with me. You don't even have to accept what I say, but understand that you can't be mad that I have a different opinion because I'm a different person.
That's our hard. Mom usually just goes, "Oh well," to me, and then moves on. She
there are a lot of conversations that I know that I can't have with certain people. I learned that mostly from our parents. Conversations not to have.
So, like through experience, or just like they told you don't
both
say these?
No, from experience and watching them say things. There are times where they were like, I had to learn to find my own voice because I really didn't. They're just kind of like, I don't know. They kind of just like let us do our. They would do. I don't know, because I had a different mom worked when I was like middle school, high school. Mom worked.
At those critical age years that you're learning.
Awful.
I know it was awful
because I'm going through my, hormone growing years, and both our parents were working so much, and it was hard because like I feel like it was a lot of pressure on you as my sister, older sibling. I felt like you had to be a sort of mom in some situations, which is really annoying.
I feel like I did not feel that pressure as much though in general.
Like I would
versus our cousin, she basically raised.
Oh yeah, she did. They had a 10-year age
sometimes.
gap, and she still has issues. She had a really hard time accepting her sister getting married and getting pregnant the first time.
Why? Because she just thinks of herself as like another mom?
Like she had a hard time with her younger sister because I don't know. She was really upset. And I think it was hard for her to accept that your younger sister is not your child and she's grown and she's now doing things her way and it's not necessarily going to be your way. This is where our aunt is such a silky mom. She was like, she's a grown adult. She can do what she wants. Like, the boys, like, one time called her, Mom, she's doing this. And it's like, she's a grown adult. She gets to make her own choices. Why are you calling me? If you have a problem with her, you talk to her about it. Like, I really appreciate a lot of
I can respect
that.
that now.
She has, it's weird because like our aunt and her mom have like same values, religious views, everything, but parenting.
And they're like besties.
And they are besties. Yeah, our mom married her best friend's brother, so like our dad's sister. So
yeah,
it's just, yeah, it's weird, but how they're so different with approaching things. Like they even disciplined the same, but all the kids came out different. You got 10 kids there because our aunt also had 5. 10 kids, 10 different human beings, same family values, different lifestyle in the home, but similar discipline style. Although, you know what our aunt did? She put butter on vegetables, so the kids actually ate them. Our mom, you know what she put? Margarine, because butter is not healthy. It has cholesterol. You're gonna get clogged arteries.
She did not put margarine in our vegetables.
She put nothing.
Put water and heated it up in the microwave.
So gross. I hate microwave food, and you got to put a little salt on it. Now she puts salt on everything. She puts salt on everything. She still be buying that vegan butter. It's basically margarine. I buy the vegan butter stuff too, but I'm not trying to do it as a replacement. It's like, do it sometimes for nice, but I'm not like, I'm going to put seasonings and spices on stuff. If I can't eat butter, I want to make my food taste good one way or another.
I want to tell this funny parenting story while we're talking about butter then. My parents,
just the IHOP story.
Yeah, they took my kids to, it was IHOP or something, and my 4-year-old just goes and grabs the whole stick of butter off the table and puts it in his mouth.
Yeah, because they had a cup of
the whole thing
whipped butter. Because Dad was like, he just like stopped and was like, "What?
Just
where'd the butter go?" And he just, before anybody could, he just grabbed this. He did a spoon. He took a spoon and scooped it like ice cream.
Yeah. Oh, it's yogurt or something? Nope. And he was fine with that too. He wasn't even like disgusted by it when he ate it, because I had, for a while there when I was cooking, I had to watch him because he would go and steal the butter.
Butter thief.
That's just a funny story.
That's, you know, kids just do and say the darnest things, and it's adorable. And I'm just amazed at kids' creativity. Like, I don't think screens have ruined that. I don't think these creative toys and stuff, you know, have ruined kids' imaginations. Because they still come up with stuff. Like my friends' kids, they be pranking people, and that's what's crazy to me. Like you can't let yourself be an easily embarrassed person with kids. As an auntie, I have to learn that, to not be embarrassed, because kids will just say things and do things. Like these kids go and they'll go to people and they say, "Lift your leg up," and the person lift their leg up and they go. They started doing it to strangers in the grocery store. And so like their mom just has to kind of like do whatever, and being that I'm like one of the aunties for them, I'm just kind of accepted it. I'm like, it's great. They tried to prank me, but because I heard this story, I pranked them back. It backfired. I was like, "What do you mean? Show me." They lift their leg up and I did it to them. It was fun. You have to be like fun and be there. Like I feel like, I don't know, maybe generations before, and I don't know what it was like for like our parents, you know, like our grandparents. It was seemed so like strict, like the Hoffler farm. Like our grandfather literally grew up on a farm. Yeah. Learned to drive the school bus. That's how he learned to drive, with the school bus. And it's just so different. Everything was so strict and so formal seeming. And like he was that way as a parent, very formal. And that's why like our dad was like trying to be more like chill, I guess. To be more like,
I did not think of our dad as chill.
But compared to our grandfather,
nope. Still.
But it's like, now it's like, it's okay to be fun with your kids. It's okay to like roll around on the floor with them and crack jokes at them. Like I was making poop jokes with your kid earlier. He was like,
well, they love poop jokes.
He was like, what's 3 poops plus 2 poops? I said, a big poop. And like, I'm not embarrassed or like about it because I'm like, because when you do that, they just gonna make more jokes out of it. Little, I mean, and then like, I want kids to be able to have a trust and respect for me. You have to give it to them from a young age. Because I have a really good memory. Like, I remember everything that happened when I was 6 years old. Everything. It was an insane year.
I forgot what year I decided. It was when I was somewhere around the time when I was getting close to puberty. I think it was when our great grandmother was about to pass away, and somebody said something, or I somehow it clicked in my brain that like to remember things. And so I was very deliberate in trying to remember my childhood so that I would remember it when I was an adult.
Which is good because you know my best friend who was our neighbor.
Yeah.
She's in therapy and uncovering trauma that she didn't know she had from childhood because she had forgot so much because it was childhood trauma.
I think that's also too, so like, we're blessed that we didn't have a super traumatic childhood to cause things like that.
Well, she had a lot of good too, but she doesn't remember the good. Like when she's like, how do you remember things? I'll tell her things that we did when we were kids, and she's like, I can't remember doing that. Oh my gosh. And like, and it brings her like a happiness because I remembered something, or like it would be like a stupid fight we had when we were 6 that I remember. And she's like, are you serious? I was like, yeah. Like when we were 5, we got in a fight. And she grabbed her Barbie suitcase. She threw a bunch of essentials in it, which was a bunch of toys. I said, where are you going? She's like, to Chattanooga. She didn't even know where Chattanooga was, but she was going to go to Chattanooga because we're not friends anymore. I'm leaving. I'm done. Like, she was just over it. So over it.
That's hilarious.
So, and those little things, it's so funny. So fun. And she didn't remember it, but I'm like, man, I remember so many things, but I remember the good and the bad, which is rough. But I'm trying to take from it and learn from it because I remember how adults talked to me. And I remember the adults who talked to me that I responded well and I had respect for them and how they did and why I was able to trust them.
Yeah.
Like when I got lost in the Statue of Liberty, if it was not for the fact that there was a stranger who had been like polite to us at the door and had smiled at us and been like polite to Dad, who I like saw them and walked up to them just crying and they're like, did you lose your family? I was like, yeah. That was our parents having lots of kids and didn't quite have agreement on who was responsible for which kids, and then one parent named Dad wasn't paying attention. He wasn't. I know I've had OCD since I was a kid. I was sitting there counting and I had to finish counting steps and bricks. And he walked off. I turned around, he was gone. And I circled the thing, and I couldn't find him. That was.
I feel like you easily would get distracted too. So like,
I'm so distracted.
A little bit ADHD almost.
Like billboards on the roads. Who thought billboards was a great idea? It's not texting and driving that distracts me. It's your stupid billboard about the place that has a free breakfast with syrup. Like that's distracting me while I'm driving. Not talking on the phone. Don't worry about texting. The billboards is enough. All these Alexander Shenanara, and every time I see them, I try to think of how to pronounce his name the correct way.
Oh yes, I remember. See, we don't have that here in our state, but I do
all over Alabama, and it's spreading into Georgia. I don't know what their states he's in, but yeah. Anyway, I digress. So distractions as a kid, but how I want kids to be able, like, I want to talk to them in a way that they don't feel like they're being talked to like a kid. Because you're going to be...
You don't want to talk down to them.
Because this is where I'm struggling with aunts and uncles and parents now. I'm a grown adult. And they still want to talk to me like a kid. They don't know how to talk to me as an adult. And it's really hard. And I try really hard not to get into fights. But it still happens. Unfortunately. And it's hard recovering from those. I mean, we get through them. I'm doing better at apologizing. I did tell Mom the other week that I was really sorry if I had had a bad attitude. She's like, what are you talking about? You know, doing her thing. I'm like, no,
Mhm.
no, no. I've had a bad attitude about things. I'm sorry if I said things that are rude or disrespectful or the way I've said it, because I've been had a lot going on in my life that I'm not taking care that I have to take care of, and I'm trying to be responsible for it. And I'm sorry if I'm sorry for anything I've done that may have hurt you or offended you, because I don't mean it towards you, because I love you. You know, I've learned a lot about that through seeing other moms, um, our mom, our grandma, and we've talked before in the past as sisters about breaking generational trauma. There's things that we don't, as like moms and aunties, we don't want to keep passing on bad habits and behaviors. Things still pass through.
Yeah,
they do. But it's like what we're doing to try to help it. Like, we're never going to be perfect. We're never going to do it right. But we want to do the best that we can. But I think a lot of it is recognizing what are the actual problems, what are the triggers, and what is our automatic responses. It's a lot of mental health stuff.
Yeah.
Social media has really helped with that, actually.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more knowledge about mental health out there now.
So much more awareness and people putting money into it, which is great. Absolutely great.
I probably tell my children I'm sorry every day for something I do. Like, I'm sorry I yelled at you. You know, I'm sorry I got frustrated. Even though what you did was wrong, I'm still sorry that I overreacted. I should have handled myself better. So,
because they don't want to develop a sense of fear and shame for doing something wrong. Kids, they get excited, they do things, and they were wrong, and don't hit your brother and whatever in the heat of the moment, you know. Whereas it's like for us growing up, it was like walking in the room and whatever mom's reaction was, depending on how frustrated she was, that's what you were going to get. And you probably didn't get an apology because she just couldn't handle and didn't know how to, because she wasn't taught how to. Our grandmother wasn't taught how to. Our great grandmother wasn't taught how to. Like, they weren't taught how to apologize to kids.
Yeah, I would say we're doing a lot of teaching ourselves parenting in addition to teaching our own children.
Yeah. You're still growing and developing as a person.
Yeah, you're always growing and developing. And it's just
one thing I think that I do, and I notice you do it too, and a lot of my friends do it. I have a lot of friends that they either are parents or they have much younger siblings. They admit when they are not the most smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
Kids, they want you to have the answers. They want you to know everything, but you don't always. And I think it's really humbling to like admit that you don't know all about something. You know, it's like, I don't know, but like, hey, let's ask Google. Like you said, let's ask Google, let's ask Siri, let's work through it together.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing, versus just making up something out of your butt and expecting like that to be the truth. And the kids go their whole life believing something and then later realize my parents had no idea what they were talking about. They just were giving me an answer because they felt like they had to have an answer, versus saying, I don't know, let's find out, or I'm learning. Like, to admit that, you know, mommy's learning too, your aunt's learning too.
Yeah.
Growth.
I have noticed in the show, there's a kid show, Gabby's Dollhouse. It's very popular right now. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Maybe.
I know you have to have kids to be up to date with like
or be a nanny, and I'm neither, so
yeah. In Gabby's Dollhouse, they ask a lot of questions, and she says a lot, I don't know, and she always pauses and then says, yet, because
I love that.
And I really like that mentality. Like, I'm learning from the kids show, and like I don't hear the rest of the show, but I might hear that one line, and I was like, you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
If I don't have the answer yet, I can always
don't
find the
mom
answer.
shame yourself because you don't know all the answers to everything.
Speaking of that, I one thing that I would say is like good advice or whatever for parents if you are stressing about if you're a good enough parent, you're most likely already a good enough parent.
Because you're trying.
Because it's the parents that are not, that doesn't even cross their mind, like,
Yeah.
you don't think about your actions and consequences that
Like, if you think if you're a good person or not. If you're worried about being a good person, you're actively trying to be a good person. So you're probably a good person versus someone who says, well, I'm a good person. Are you really? Because somebody who truly is and truly is humble is always trying to work on themselves and like have personal growth.
Yeah.
And being a parent, that doesn't change. Needing to grow. Like that kids shows me making some are weird, but some making progress.
There are some really good ones out there.
Like Mia and I were having a conversation the other day with our younger brother about weird shows like Teletubbies.
I like Teletubbies.
They thought it was weird. I was like, really?
Who thought it was weird?
Our youngest brother and Mia. So, which she has an almost 13-year-old and she's about to have another baby. Big age gap, totally different. And then her son has a little bit of a disability, so it's like crazy. A lot of what she goes through. So she had the kid with the temper tantrum. She had the problem in public. People looking at her, and she just kind of don't care. Do not care.
I have that a lot with when my son was 4 and 3.
Yeah, 3 and 4 were really hard ages for her.
And they were really challenging for me. And I was also, that was the time when I was pregnant with my second. And I had the morning sickness all 3 trimesters.
That's what she's going through right now.
Yeah.
Except her other one's 12,
and so,
almost 13, not 6.
Just being out in public and your kid is pitching a fit and having to learn how to like cope with that.
It's a test of your patience and how you deal with other people.
Right. And two, you have to deal with, in addition to people shaming you, mom shame, you also have to like, am I doing this right? There's some of that kind of shaming happening too. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, my son is so upset about this. Did I say the right thing? How could I have better handled it? And it's a lot to think. Parenting is exhausting, I would say. And I would say,
if anybody says it's not, they're a liar.
Well, also too, like people think about like, I could use myself as an example. I worked in childcare before I had my own children. I did daycare, nanny, babysitting,
after school care,
and then I worked pediatrician office. I had all these different areas, and so everyone kept telling me when I was pregnant, like, "Oh, you know what? You'll be a perfect mom, and everything." And it's like the difference in that is that was like just that was just a day job, and then you get to go home and you unwind and do all your thing. But when you are a parent, there is no clocking out.
You're on duty all the time.
Like we're right here doing this, and I'm still having to listen out for the kids, constantly. Unless you have someone else watching them and everything like that. That's the only time you really get to have a break. But like,
it's still a lot of work.
And I think that's where a lot of people lose, and where the disconnect is, where people lose with parenting and not understanding how parenting is.
Yeah.
It's like it'd be like having to work a job where you never get to clock out.
And each parent's different, each child's different, and your health is different. Like there's some people that, yes, mashallah, things are easier for them. That's just what they've been handed. But there's going to be something else in their life that's a challenge.
Right.
We're all going to have the same pressures at some point. Like we're still all equal as far as our challenges, just challenge, not what they are, but something in our life that we're going to be tested for.
Mm-hmm.
Are you somebody who you make a lot of money so you don't have to worry about paying for childcare and stuff like that? There's still going to be something else that you have to deal with. Maybe your job is extremely stressful, or I don't know, whatever, certain things. And maybe suddenly like one of your parents gets dementia, and then you got to take care of that elder parent, like just things that pile up,
Yeah.
It all comes back around. So
it does.
End of the day, having patience, giving yourself grace, and know that you're still learning, and it's each generation is going to be different, and our parents had struggles. They're different than we don't have to struggle with, but then there's also other things that we have to worry about. So, but yeah, anything else that you feel like we should cover?
What about um cultural differences?
Oh yeah,
We didn't talk about that.
well, I guess I touched base a little bit when regarding the parenting styles and being in public, because like I'm from the South, but I've been living in the DC area for like a year. It's so different, and in the DC area, you get every culture,
That's true. I love that about DC.
which is really cool. But I will say it is overwhelming sometimes. Like
Mhm.
I do like my space at home. I need to chill out because I'm just like I just listened to 6 different languages today, and I could tell parenting was different for each family. It's hard to be teaching kids to be respectful of other people's cultures being different because you want the kids to be, but if that's hard is to be like, well, our family does things this way and their family does things differently, you know, for a reason, you know. And that's hard. And then for me as somebody to like between the different cultures, it's a lot to learn. I cannot possibly learn all the cultures, but I'll try to do my best I can to be respectful of them at least, you know. But that can be hard as a parent because now, I mean, now thankfully we do have access to the internet and we can learn about that culture. It's not always accurate, but I can learn something. Or there's going to be an influencer mom from that culture who I see how she does things and she can explain why, and I can appreciate that. You know, I guess I would say YouTube would be the one social media that I use and learn things. And then I have insane diversity of friends.
Yeah.
And I like to have conversations about how they do things. I do like to share my culture a lot with them because I feel like Americans get washed out a lot. Like, oh, but you're American. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not the same as an American in Minnesota or California, like,
yeah,
or Texas. Like, we're we're all very very different, and it's being able to have that appreciation and understanding. So, like I explained to some of my Middle Eastern friends the difference between okay, this country and this country. They're like, oh, they're very different. I'm like, yeah, but the distance between those two countries is closer than the distance between DC and Atlanta. And that's where I have 2 different homes, basically.
Yeah.
Like family in Atlanta, and then I'm DC. Like, you cannot tell me because it's America, it's all the same. It's not. And people are like, oh, I guess you're right. I didn't see it that way. So, like, helping other people to understand and have respect because there's a lot of disrespect, I feel like, towards Americans because I get it. A lot of us are crazy and in the media portrays us a certain way in other countries. But it's like you have to think about how diverse we are just within ourselves as a country. And then you add all these other cultures to it as well. It's a lot. And for us to have to learn how to be respectful and understanding that there are different parenting styles. And you can learn from somebody else's way of doing things. You can learn what you do or don't want to do. Which I've learned a lot just seeing other people parent from their cultural view. I've learned a lot. Yeah, a lot of positive things. I'm like, oh, I like that. I think I want to take that on. You know, put that in and share it with somebody else. Say, hey, this, you know, my friend did this. You know, I'm not trying to tell you how you should parent, but this is what my other friend from another country. This is how they do things. I thought that was really interesting. You know, I don't know if that's going to help you or be beneficial to you. You know, because your kids are your kids, and they're individual humans all in themselves. And you're still learning.
Yeah, you're learning every day. There's no guidebook. And each kid is different.
Yeah.
And so you can't parent every kid the same way.
Yeah. You cannot be like, oh, I need to force my shy kid to be social. I need to force my social kid to sit still. Like,
yeah.
There is not, here's one controversy thing. I will finish with this controversy. There is not as much of an increase in autism spectrum disorder and ADHD that people think they are. We just can diagnose it better. And what we categorize as it is different. Because before it was like, oh, back in the 90s, they would have said, oh, they were a difficult child to handle. And here they are now turning 30 years old, and they're like, hey, did you know you actually have a mild autism spectrum disorder? They're like, oh, or did you know, like, people in their 30s getting diagnosed with ADHD, and it's like that explains so much. And they would have been labeled as a difficult child in the 90s
Yeah.
and in the 80s.
Or my husband was called he was lazy when he had and it turns out he just had ADHD.
That's hard.
And his
So
parents would just call him lazy.
growth and learning, you know, that's parents trying to what the knowledge they have, and now we have no excuse to not learn. You know, we have the internet.
We don't have to just do things the
It
way
is
our parents did.
it is a necessity, and you're going to use it whether you want to or not. It's going to end up being part of your life.
Yeah.
So why would you reject such a bank of knowledge anyway? Like, we learn more in one day on our phones than people in like the 1800s learned in their whole lifetime.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not making that up.
Yeah.
I could find the statistics if you guys want the actual like information on that. First of all, most of us can read and write. That's a start. So, but yeah, learning, growth, parenthood is never ever going to be easy. With each generation, it's going to be the same, but it's different. And learning the new challenges that you have, and be grateful for the things that are made easier, and the knowledge that you have to grow with and grow yourself. And, you know, inshallah, teach your children.
Give yourself patience.
Yeah. Patience and grace, and it's okay if you don't have all the answers. We have Siri.
And Alexa.
And Alexa. And Google.
ChatGPT.
I've been using ChatGPT all the time. So, like, I was trying to describe my friend how I think would be a really cute photo shoot with her baby when she has her, but I could not find a picture to mimic it, so I used ChatGPT to design it. Yeah. Call me out for plagiarism of other artists' stuff, but look, I couldn't find other artists' stuff on the internet, so I had to use ChatGPT to make my creation in my mind come to life. It wasn't accurate, but it got it close enough to get the gist of it. So, anyways, thank you, Lauren, for
Yes,
this
thank you
fun
for having
discussion.
me.
I know we could talk for like hours and hours about this topic alone, but you know, kids may wake up at any point in time, and we need to try to get rest while we can before the kids do wake up. So, and just enjoy our peaceful evening.
It usually happens as soon as my head hits the pillow.
Then they go, ah!
Yeah, then that's when we can.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So, I hope you all benefited from this podcast episode. I really enjoyed the conversation, and happy Mother's Day. And if you're an auntie, happy Mother's Day to whoever considers you like a mom, whether that be a pet or a niece, nephew, or just somebody else in your community. So until next time, Assalamu alaikum.